Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second edition of ASCENT Talks. My name is Ajit Panikar, and I'm an ASCENT member for the past 10 years, and I lead Nova, an air conditioning company, and Pure Blue, a tech-enabled startup in the air conditioning domain. And my co-host today is Aleem. Hi, Aleem.
Good morning, Ajit. Good morning, Ascenters. My name is Aleem. I am a ad man, not a madman, and I run a company called Synapse, and we're an advertising and marketing creative company. And we welcome you to all this. We welcome you all to the second edition of this show.
Awesome, Aleem. So to all our viewers who's joining us for the first time, and if you're wondering what ASCENT is all about, ASCENT is a not-for-profit expression of Harsh Mariwala, Chairman Marico Limited, and his passion to identify high-potential growth stage entrepreneurs and enable them to grow their enterprise and enrich their entrepreneurial journey. Launched in 2012, ASCENT today empowers more than 700 entrepreneurs across India. Ascent is designed as a unique, powerful peer to peer platform that leverages the power of the collective through self facilitated groups called trust groups, which enables entrepreneurs to share and exchange experiences, ideas, insights, and create a healthy ecosystem to learn from each other today. And from each other. Today's event, a weekly event, Ascent Talks, showcases Ascent members and their interesting entrepreneurial journeys. So, Alim, over to you. Let's welcome our guest today.
Sahil Vaidya is our guest today. Sahil Vaidya is the co-founder of Minimalist, a creative solutions company that works with brands globally to create thought-provoking work. An engineering grad from IIT Bombay, Sahil co-founded the company during his final year in 2015, marshalling a crew of over 160 plus creative minds. In 2019, Sahil was featured in the prestigious Forbes 30 under 30 Asia list. He has been the driving force behind the company's growth, which resulted in the Minimalist being featured in LinkedIn's India's top 25 startups list 2018. So, Sahil, welcome. And tell us about your business, your nature of your business, the scale, some clients, and solutions to understand this better.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure. So to begin with, we are the minimalist, and the way the company itself started. So I think you have introduced. We are a creative solutions company. So we work with brands to create thought-provoking work across two main services. One is marketing solutions, where we actually work with them to figure out their brand strategy, positioning, create design systems, and then market them across the full funnel. So right from awareness, which is brand campaigns, video production, influencer, media, all of that to bottom funnel also, which is lead generation and delivering ROI through digital marketing. And that is one space that we do. Second space is experience design and technology, which is hardcore user experience, user interface design across web, mobile, voice, different kinds of interfaces. As the world moves into different types of technology, these things will become even more relevant as we move forward. So the way the company started, that's what we are today. But this wasn't the case earlier. And in fact, when I started 7 years back, I didn't really have a business plan in mind, or even I didn't even know that I'm going to be doing this. It started in a very accidental way. So my co-founder and I, we were at IIT Bombay, and both of us had two things in common. One was that we were really passionate about creativity. He was passionate about design. I was passionate about writing and humor. The second thing was both of us sucked at engineering. We had the most pathetic grades in our class. And that got us together, and we said that engineering is not a cup of tea, as everyone eventually figures out after 4 years. So, what should we really do with our lives? And that's when we thought that why don't we combine our talents and create something unique. And the reason we were passionate about creativity was that we loved creating work that people would look at and say, oh wow, how did you come up with it, and get very jealous of our ideas. And that is called thought provoking work, right? And the best way to do that is to keep it simple, and that's why we latched onto this philosophy of minimalism, which was just emerging in 2015. Leave alone in India, even globally, it wasn't a big thing. So we started a Facebook page, and after 5-10 really bad names, I came up with the minimalist, and we just started posting some very witty, thought-provoking content using the philosophy of minimalism. And over time, that started going viral. We built a community of 150K plus on Facebook back in the day when creator wasn't even a word, or community wasn't even a word. These are words that jargons that we have developed just in the last few years. So we were doing a lot of things accidentally without even knowing it, just having fun. And that's when brands started reaching out to us saying that we also would love to do these things with you. And that's how the company started. And then it was a process of learning, unlearning, and building out.
No.
And we think all these we think all these IIT guys are going to create world changing ideas and things like that. यहाँ पे ये लोग सोच रहे हैं नहीं नहीं creative company चालू करते हैं.
No, Aleem, I'll tell you what happened. I pushed this promo on my Insta and I got a message from a good friend of mine. He's saying, "यार ये IIT का 2 सीट क्यों गवाया? 2 सीट क्यों गवाया? Why did he? Well, what you need to hold him accountable for that? Why did he take away the 2 IIT seats to get into this? Now, you got to answer that, buddy. How did you guys get into just
Yes.
the creative space, like how you explain, and also talk about it in sense, isn't it an overcrowded space? I mean, how big is this market? What are the opportunities that the space holds? Yeah.
Right. So to answer your first question, typically it's the norm, right? That if you want to do anything in life, first you do engineering and then you do that. So that's what we also ended up doing. Uh, uh, we realized after getting into IT that this isn't our cup of tea, and fortunately that's changing now. There are people who are in college and they start their own ventures. They start understanding what they really want. So I think paradigms are shifting, but fortunately or unfortunately, when we were doing this, we first had to go through the engineering hoop before doing what we really wanted to do. But that said, the IIT experience and network was tremendously helpful. I think without it, it's very difficult to actually grow and understand a lot of things. So I would say it was very, very helpful. To come to the second point, yes, it is a very crowded space, and there are lots and lots of companies doing these things. In fact, I think the barriers to entry in this space are probably the lowest in the world in any business. So
True. Very
anyone
true.
in their dorm rooms can actually start this business. In fact, that's becoming increasingly true of tech businesses also, with low code, no code things, and technology increasingly becoming very API-fied, or things are becoming very easy now. It's not like writing code in a very different language. With plain English, people can do a lot of things. So that's increasingly happening in all spaces, but even in our space, it's always been the case. So yes, it's a very crowded market, and you really have to stand out and keep doing things differently to stay alive. So it's very competitive, very crowded.
So
Ajit,
when
I
you
hope
guys founded this business,
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying I hope you got the jibe from Sahil on both of us. The creative and technology companies both crowded in this space, so you and me are both to blame on this one.
Yeah, we're both.
Even
We're
me.
the guys who crowded this.
Even I am crowding the space. All of us are crowding it together.
But Sahil, tell me something. Once you started, I know, getting a startup up and running, um, and you founded this company. What are the kind of challenges that you guys had? Yeah, at the early stages when you actually got out to build the company, and what are the significant changes that you guys brought about? I know you and Chirag got together and put this company together, but send us some learnings, as to what happened through that
Right.
journey just in the beginning.
Yes, I think one of the biggest challenges, and this I think a lot of people would relate to, is that when you're doing something in a space that you have no idea about, the learning curve is extremely long. And in fact, the learning curve for us exists even till date, where we are still trying to figure out how things work. And it's always been the case, more so in the earlier days, because I mean, we are engineers by trade and we had no idea. I mean, we're bad engineers, but nevertheless, we were engineers. But still, we had absolutely no idea about how the creative space works. And within a space, you don't just have to understand how the services work, or what sells and what doesn't. You also have to understand the psychology of clients, of people who work with you, of how things move, how decisions get made, what are the particular quirks and nuances. And I think that learning curve was extremely long. The second big challenge was that we had never even worked before that, leave alone running a company. We had never even had a job. So even the basic paradigms of how operations are run or how a business is run was something that we were absolutely not familiar with. So in fact, I remember 1 year into the business, I didn't even know what the difference between cash flow and revenue was. So these are the kind of dumb questions I was asking different people around. So it's been very steep, and like you pointed out, it's very competitive. So it compounded the problem. So a lot of challenges were there, but I think over time we figured out on the way, and I think that has been the fun of it. Like you build while things are all messed up, and you're still trying to figure out.
Awesome. Sahil, you might be the guest on the show, okay? But Aleem's got some deadly followers here. He's already come out here and his Ankit has already said, "Hey, Aleem sir, I'm your big fan. Bhaiya, मैं fan हूँ आपका."
That is one of my closest friends who's just trying to take a jab at me. So, Ankit
Yeah,
Rawani,
such.
I'll see you
But tell
separately.
us the truth. Did you call him in advance and tell him, "Bhaiya, ये message डालना वहाँ पे"?
I did. I did. In fact, I just transferred on Paytm some money also.
Aleem is in the marketing business, so he's all familiar with paid promotions.
Come on, man.
Things you
All
gotta
right.
do, ganda hai par ganda hai.
But tell me something, yeah, Sahil, in that entire journey of yours, which is the biggest challenge that you face? I know it is the startup growth challenge and everything. Is there was one big challenge that really shook you guys up?
Not there haven't been such, so of course one of the biggest challenges that came was COVID itself, but in hindsight it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because it accelerated the need for digital solutions. So I wouldn't really call that a challenge. I think the challenge came in the initial days because I was actually, so when I started the company in 2015, I still had a year of engineering to go. So I was actually running the company and studying, and uh, in fact, I was wondering how I'm going to finish my degree because it was my final year project that I had to do. So it was a lot of hustling for me, running around during the day, going for meetings. I used to go with that really pathetic college bag to meetings, and clients would be like, "Who the hell are you? And if you're in college, what are you really doing? Why are you even asking us for our business?" So it was a tough sell in the first year. Required a lot of storytelling, convincing, nudging, persuasion to really get our initial set of customers. And even not just on the client side, even on the supply side, I mean the talent. Uh, Typically, there will be so many questions about how are these college kids going to really build a business and sustain it. So will we even get paid? So these were some of the biggest challenges and the initial bottlenecks that we had to overcome in order to get it going.
And Sahil, how did you come up with this name, the Minimalist? It's a very, very interesting name. I mean, we've heard lots of names from agencies, but I really like the Minimalist. It really sounds very cool. How did you come up with it?
Yeah. So
And what were the options?
sorry, options.
And what were the other options you had in mind?
Oh, and I can't really talk about the other options. I think they were so bad I've forgotten them. But the minimalist was pretty easy because I mean the decision was pretty easy. But coming up with the names, of the like I said, the entire philosophy was that we want to create thought-provoking work, and minimalism was just emerging as a trend globally. And the interesting thing is the minimalist doesn't sound like a company; it actually sounds like a creator, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and
Yeah.
that was how it actually started. We were not a company. We were a creator initially without knowing we are a creator or that we would eventually build a company. So the idea was let's build a minimalism movement. Let's see how it goes, and eventually if there is proof of concept, this can eventually turn into a business. So with that mindset that let's create a movement, the plot was to own this entire thing and bring it to India, and that's why minimalism and therefore the minimalist. Like we are the authorities and the people who are going to champion the cause of minimalism. At least that was the naive thought that we had back then, and that's how it started.
Superb.
Amazing, man. Too good, yeah. And Sahil, I know you guys have written a book together called As the Minimalist, and I've got that copy out here. That's the
Oh,
book. And you can see the way the minimalist is written. He kind of makes a statement within the way within the name is written. So, Sahil, you should tell us about this book. How did it actually come about? And I've read this book. I've had this copy with me, and I want you to touch on that page on humor. And I know that's Aleem's favorite topic. He keeps talking about it too. And I think you've given some great content around humor, and how you go about doing it. So share that with our viewers.
Absolutely. So the journey of the book has been interesting. So since we have been doing this for the past 6, 7 years, we also thought that now is the time where we can actually open source our IP. We have actually built a set of techniques that can repeatably be used to create a lot of thought provoking and inventive work. And what we noticed early on was that initially we were actually creating all of these things that used to go viral. Then we started hiring team members, we started training them, and we saw that the people eventually started creating things that actually were at the same level of creativity. And then these people started taking workshops at colleges, and immediately on those days of the workshops, college students would also be able to come up with such ideas. So what we really noticed was that creativity is often likened to magic. People think that it will ideas will somehow emerge from the clouds and descend into your brain, and only a few gifted creative ones can get those ideas, and nobody else can. But in our opinion, that's not really true. There is definitely a process to creativity. There are certain techniques which are repeatable and which we have ourselves been repeating. So, intelligence, creativity, these things are all about pattern matching, right? Figuring out the right patterns, having a sense of context, and applying those patterns. So, we've actually, in this process, we started taking workshops and we started creating an IP that, okay, these are techniques which, when repeated, can consistently lead to such creative outcomes. And after doing that, we realized that, if you look at the best ads in the world, um, ads done by Coca-Cola or McDonald's or Burger King or any other brand, you will see the same techniques in action. So this is not just a book on minimalism, it's a book on creativity, on design thinking, and how some techniques can repeatably be used to create output that looks like magic, that really feels like, oh wow, where did this come from? But since we are humans, and if we look at the same work thousands upon thousands of times, that pattern slowly builds within our mind, so that it's just the articulation of those techniques. A machine can do it much faster, so we wanted to write this book before machines write it out for us. And this is the entire four-step process of design thinking, specifically touching upon humor. So humor is something that I've been really interested in. I've been cracking jokes since childhood, and I used to write a lot of one-liners on Facebook back when Facebook was actually a thing, when it existed and people actually logged into Facebook. And that actually gave me the initial boost, and I felt that, yeah, I think writing jokes is a lot of fun. Then I started doing it on LinkedIn and all, and it was the same witty tonality that came onto the minimalist. And in the process of testing and getting bored at and getting some good responses, I figured out what works and what doesn't. And therefore, we have encapsulated certain techniques of humor also that people can repeatedly use.
You did waste your IIT seat, basically. That's what you.
You could say so, maybe.
So Sahil, you've been an Ascent member for very long, and can you tell us about your journey with Ascent? What have you discovered with it? What have you benefited from it? Just for the viewers who haven't really joined Ascent yet and probably could benefit from that.
Absolutely. So I started, I was a part of Ascent in 2019. That's when I started. And I think the journey has been tremendous. The concept itself is very intriguing. And many people think from the outside that it is probably a platform for networking and lead generation and all of that. But I think that's not really the essence of it. It's actually an extended trust group, literally, a group of trusted entrepreneurs who become very close to you, and who you can share your highs and lows with, who you can share your most intimate business troubles and challenges with, and you can actually get a sounding board to understand how you can actually figure out things in your own business. Apart from that, you also get to learn from so many other businesses, right? I mean, yours is not the only business that's facing challenges. There are so many other people who are doing so many things and are they have actually solved for those things probably 7 years ago, 5 years ago, and you can actually get that knowledge. So in that, and the same goes not just for challenges but for innovations also. Maybe you're looking to implement an idea, someone's already done it. So the collective knowledge of maybe 10 entrepreneurs in very diverse fields adds a lot of perspective, enriches you, and gives you a lot of insights. And I think in that uh, sense, Ascent has been extremely helpful. And more than that, I think it's really about building it's in a way a team of people who you can trust and you can fall back on whenever you have to take a tough decision or you want some validation or you want some criticism. So I think that's a tremendous value add for entrepreneurs who typically are on this journey alone.
Absolutely. And we're having the big event, the conclave, next in the next coming weeks. So who are you looking forward to as a speaker?
There's a star-studded lineup of speakers. It's very interesting, but I personally always look forward to words of wisdom from Mr. Harsh Mariwala himself. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, and I think I've met him also. I had the honor of meeting him, and I think the book that Harsh Mariwala launched a couple of years back, Aleem, you and I had the pleasure of actually interacting with him and helping him come up with the
Whoa!
name of the book.
Ajit keeps coming up
Yeah.
with this library of what?
Yeah.
And
That's a book, man. That's a book. Just go for it.
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
a fantastic book, so rich with insights, and it's a brilliant name also that Aleem actually came up with. Harsh realities, great
Yeah.
wordplay.
Uh,
Uh, Wordplay is one of the techniques that you've written about, and Aleem actually nailed it with that name. So it was a pleasure interacting with him,
Yeah.
understanding his vision, reading that book. So I think he's probably the most exciting speaker always.
yeah. And I think I still, for me, it's Mr. Chandrasekharan from Tata, the chairman who is going to He's going to be the keynote speaker. I'm really looking forward to hearing him out. And also Ajit Pai, the of Delivery CEO. I mean,
Right.
that's going to be a very interesting story, and that's also another one which I'm really looking at. What about you, Ali?
I'm hoping to interact with Namita Thapar from MCure,
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
because I also work in the healthcare
yeah.
space. So I like to kind of exchange my visiting card for a dhanda milega, something like that.
Aleem, I just hope you are the only one who's chose the opposite gender. You figure that out, right? The speakers
Mm.
made very clearly.
Yeah, not on public chat.
But Ali, we've got some time, and we have a question from your fan who is thanking you. He's saying that Sahil Bhaiya, thank you for the life-changing tips. अब मुझे wife-changing tips दे दो. That's what he's asking for. अब इस show में नहीं बताने का है. Ankit, he will call you offline after the show, and he'll explain to you what is
I
to
think
be
I'll
done.
leave
All
that
right.
to Aleem. I think Aleem can definitely.
I am the nicest guy in the world. Look at this. Come on, Papa. And all my wife was around me. It's like
Awesome. But Sahil, one big question on this, and since you started getting into entrepreneurship, you set up a company. There's also talk about, starting a company and being an entrepreneur. It's like a lot of work. It just takes out. These are a bunch of boring guys who just have a dream and who keep chasing the dream. But you have done quite a bit of stuff. And tell us, how do you manage your time, your interests, and your family? How do you actually you actually work this out? And how do you strike that balance?
Right. I think the initial phase was very hectic, of course, as you would all know. It's about building out and crossing that barrier of the first 3 or first 5 years. And till then, the journey is always going to be pretty hectic, even beyond maybe. But for us, it was the first 3 years were definitely backbreaking. Uh, but beyond that, I think one has to sort of get into some other things also. It can't always be about thinking about the business all the time. That's also very counterproductive. And I've been very fortunate to have a set of things that I really look forward to beyond work. In fact, sometimes I look forward to them more than work itself. One of my big obsessions is reading. So I love reading books. I'm always obsessed about picking up new books, writing about what I learn on my newsletter. So what I've done is, since I keep reading so many different books all the time, I also try to encapsulate and document my learnings for the benefit of readers. So every week I come up with an article on everything that I'm reading across history, science, technology, philosophy, anthropology, psychology, all kinds of topics, right? So it's and what I've realized is that learning across a very very wide range of topics is essential. Just like we come to Ascent to get perspectives from people in very different spaces and sectors and different age groups, I think the collective storehouse of knowledge across human history is just immense. There are people across different ages, different times, different genders also, uh, who have actually had so much to share with us. And I think that is a thing that we all need to do a lot more of, getting those perspectives and understanding fields beyond the field, the narrow field that we operate in. And I've often seen that insights from another field often illuminate you. And while reading, you come up with a lot of ideas that you can probably apply to your own business and even in life. So, reading and writing is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And apart from that, I meditate every day. I practice Vipassana meditation quite seriously because I've seen that it's very, very transformational and I can't recommend it enough to people. So I keep talking about it and telling people that, the human condition, I mean, we are bound to suffer. So the only way out of this suffering is to acknowledge it and, observe reality as it is. And this technique of meditation actually helps you do that. And it's been so transformational. It's helped me deal with so many things in life. So I do some of these things. Apart from that, I also like drumming and all, but now I'm not getting the time to do it. I used to drum a lot at IIT. But now, because of all of these things, I
आईटी में
can't
पढ़ाई
find
के
the
अलावा
time.
सब कुछ किया है इसने.
Too
Absolutely.
good, too good, too good. यार लेकिन दो सीट निकाला, दो सीट गया.
So in fact, IIT was all about exploring these other things apart from engineering, and that's where I think being idle in a way has
Yeah,
probably helped
true.
us get to this idea and start something.
Fantastic. Sahil, I know you come from a very decorated family. Can you tell us about your family and how you manage your work-life balance and things like that also? Because that's so critical for entrepreneurs today.
Right.
Yeah,
So
and
I've
Sahil, and sorry, Sahil, before I actually talk
yeah,
about it, and you've written a lot about your father who's mentored you, so you must cover that too in that.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
to give you some background, my father and my brother, they run a engineering services firm. And my mom is a psychiatrist, and my wife works in finance. So it's a very diverse background. And my sister-in-law is a dentist. So that's my family. And my father has been very supportive. In fact, all of them have been very, very supportive. But especially my father, much more in a technical capacity, because he also runs a services company, has scaled a services company over the last decade. And like I told you in the initial days, I had absolutely no clue about how things work, what are the metrics to track, how to grow, how to resolve a lot of conflicts and dilemmas. And in all of those cases, a services entrepreneur has already seen those things in his own journey. So it was all handed to me whenever I had certain issues. I could always jam with him, explain my situation, and he would always tell me about how he had also faced the same thing and what we could do about it. Also, since he comes from a corporate background, he has a lot of good management frameworks, organizational frameworks, setting up processes. And I believe as entrepreneurs who are running a company, we are initially very bad at setting processes because we are just figuring out things and hustling around. So I think those aspects have been tremendously helpful in having a balanced, 30,000 feet view of the business. So I think without his input, it would have been very, very difficult, and the learning curve would have been even longer. So I'm very thankful to him and the entire family for helping me out in this journey.
Amazing, yeah. So that's it, Sahil. We are just about time to finish our show. We are, as decided, this is going to be a power pack 30-minute show. So thank you, Sahil. It's been fabulous chatting up with you and hearing from you. You can see all those comments coming in from everybody, which says that it's a great learning thing and wonderful listening to you. So thank you very much, Sahil. We'll meet again at the conclave and all the other ASCENT get-togethers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you,
Thank
Sahil. See
you.
you soon.
Thanks.
See
Thanks.
you.
All right, guys. So we are at the end of the show. So there are three things that you can do right now. All right. Like I said it in the last time. If you're an entrepreneur and happy doing what you want to do, follow us on this LinkedIn page or any of the channels that you watching us on. And every Friday at 11 o'clock, we'll get you an interesting entrepreneur that will keep you inspired for the next 1 week. But if you're keen to meet more ASCENT members, then you should be part of the ASCENT Conclave on 24th November at Mumbai. Get to the ASCENT Foundation website, register online, and you should attend that. It's going to be almost, we have 700 of us, and there's going to be over 1,200 people who are going to be there at that show. The third option, which is the more tougher one, is if you believe the next decade is India's time, and you want to be part of that story and believe that you're growth ready, then you should visit the ascentfoundation.in and apply for membership. Note, this option is not like you just pay a fee and get a membership immediately. Ascent will get in touch with you and evaluate if you are truly a growth ready entrepreneur before they bring you on board, and that could take some time. So just go online and apply. So that's it for today. And Aleem, we're going to have meet next Friday with another new guest.
Another new entrepreneur. Yes, absolutely. And if you guys enjoyed the show, please send us some encouragement, send us some love, like this webinar of ours, share it, comment on it, and we'd love to hear from you. And even if you want to criticize us, let us know, and we'll take that with a very very bad shot on our chin. But yeah, we hope to see you.
Yeah, just write to us and say that what was not good, and then we'll just get on to you and we'll troll you and we'll like get onto your case, man. We're dying to do that. Just do it. Just do it.
Or tell us
But
that
yeah,
you love us like Ankit Rawani does.
yeah, that's it. And you'll get more visibility. As simple as that. We are very clear, clear roles. You tell good things about us, we'll give you visibility. But guys, have a look at the lineup for the speakers. Before I end the show, I'll put up the screen for the speakers, and we will see you next Friday. See you, Ali.
Thank
Fabulous.
you. Thank you. See you, Ajit. Thank you, everyone.
See you
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.